Okay, so welcome to AWS Solution Architecture Associate day number 4. Yesterday we discussed about the availability zone, about the regions, and about the local zones and edge location. Perfect. So today my main focus will be on lab part, and then tomorrow probably we will discuss about the EC2 instance types and EC2 instance pricing in detail. So let me begin the session. So what we will do today? Today we will learn below topics like we will discuss about EC2 instance, what is EC2 instance, how to create your first EC2 instance in Windows operating system using Windows operating system, create your first EC2 instance, and the lab part, correct? So first of all, let's talk about the EC2 instance. So what do you mean by EC2? So Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, that means ECC, and that's why we called it EC2. So Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud provides a scalable computing capacity in the Amazon Web Service Cloud. Using Amazon EC2 eliminates your need to invest in hardware upfront, so you can develop and deploy the application faster. See, first of all, this EC2 instance is nothing but one kind of virtual server. What? One kind of virtual server. Virtual server means what? The server which we are using. If you are using the server physically in your office, then that is nothing but your physical server. But if I will say virtual server, virtual means what? Means it is not a physical server. Tell me one thing, if you want to purchase any server, physical server from the market, what you think before purchasing any server? So if you want to purchase any server from the market, you will think about the vendor, which vendor server you want. You also think about the RAM, you will think about the ROM, correct? You will think about the processor and everything, correct? So here I am saying that what you will do before you will purchase any physical server from the market. So before purchasing any server, you will think this all things. You will think about the vendor, RAM, ROM, processor, CPU, and so many things, correct? So here it says that Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud provides the scalable computing capacity in Amazon Web Service Cloud. Using the Amazon EC2, it eliminates your need to invest in hardware upfront, so you can develop and deploy application faster. You can use Amazon EC2 to launch as many or as few virtual server. You can launch as many or as few virtual server as you need. Configure the security group and networking and manage the storage. These all things we will discuss in detail. Amazon EC2 enables you to scale up or scale down to handle the changes in the requirements or spikes in popularity, reducing your need to forecast the traffic. That means whenever you will create the EC2 instance, you have to think about the security, you have to think about the networking, you have to think about the storage and everything. I will show you how. Now, what are the features of the Amazon EC2? Which kind of features or what are the characteristics of the EC2 instance? So as we discussed, it is nothing but one kind of virtual computing environments known as an instance. That's why we called it as an instance. Pre-configured templates. See, this is very, very important. Here, I use the word that is nothing but the pre-configured templates for your instance known as the Amazon machine image. Previously, if you remember in past days, what we was doing, if I want to install any Windows or Linux based operating system in my laptop or PC, we are using the CD and DVD drive, correct? We are using the CD and DVD. Now what we are doing? We are just making our pen drive bootable, correct? We are just making our pen drive bootable, and with the help of that, we are just creating, one kind of bootable pen drive with the help of image, and we can format our laptop. So here it says the same thing, pre-configured templates for your instance known as the Amazon machine image that packages the bits you need for your server, including the operating system and additional software. Various configurations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity for your instance known as the instance type. There are so many types of instance in Amazon AWS. We will discuss each type of instance in detail. Secure login information for your instance using the key pair. What is key pair? With the help of key pair, you can generate the strong password. So secure login information for your instance using key pair. AWS store the public key and you store the private key in the secure place. Store the volume for temporary data that's deleted when you stop, hibernate, or terminate your EC2 instance, known as the instance store volume. This is very, very important. Store the volume for temporary data that's deleted when you stop, hibernate, or terminate your EC2 instance, known as the instance store volume. Whenever you will create the instance, stop the instance, start the instance, delete the instance, temporarily it will store the data. Persistent storage volume for your data using the Amazon Elastic Block Storage. This is EBS is nothing but one kind of hard disk. This is nothing but one kind of hard disk known as the Amazon EBS volume. Multiple physical locations for your resources, such as instance and Amazon EBS volume, known as the regions and availability zone. Yesterday we discussed about the regions and availability zones. So whenever you will create your first EC2 instance, you have to decide that this EC2 instance will be a part of which region and part of which availability zone. Now a firewall that enables you to specify the protocols, ports, and source IP range that can reach your instance using the security group. Of course, if you will not configure the security group, then anyone can access to your EC2 instance. And if you want to allow few people, or if you don't want to allow anyone to access to your EC2 instance, of course, you have to configure some security policies. So if you want to configure the security policies, you can configure the security policies in two ways, inbound and outbound. We will see in lab. Static IPv4 address for dynamic cloud computing, known as the elastic IP address. Elastic IP address means what? Here we use one word, static IPv4 address. Static IPv4 address. Static IPv4 address for dynamic cloud computing, known as the elastic IP. And this elastic IP is nothing but the public IP address. Public IP address. Metadata, known as the tags that you can create and assign to your Amazon EC2 instance. Whatever the name you want to assign to your EC2 instance, you can assign the name to your EC2 instance. Virtual networks you can create that are logically isolated from the rest of the AWS cloud. That means we will discuss about the VPC as well, and that you can optionally connect to your own network, known as the VPC, virtual private cloud. We will discuss this thing also in detail. Correct. This is our day number 4, and we have not performed any lab. So today what I will do, I will perform the lab. I will create the first EC2 instance in Windows operating system using the Windows operating system. And then tomorrow we will discuss about it in detail, each and every part we used in to create our EC2 instance. So let's set up to use the Amazon EC2. Complete the task in this section to get up for launching an Amazon EC2 instance for the first time. First, you have to sign up into your AWS account, then you have to create the key pair, then you have to create the security group. Correct. So here, what we will use the instance and AMIs, we will use the regions and zones, we will use the instance type, we will use the tags, we will use the key pair, we will use the security groups, elastic IP address, virtual private cloud, we will use the Amazon EBS instance store, and finally, we will create our first EC2 instance. So don't worry, these all parts I will discuss in detail. First, set up your, setup to use the Amazon EC2 basics. That means you have to select your Amazon machine image, your regions, your zone, instance type, tags. Now, these are the network and security services which we will use over here. We will use the key pair, security groups, elastic IP address, and virtual private cloud. Storage, we will use the storage part over here. One is nothing but the EBS and one is nothing but the instance store. Correct. So now for lab part, we have a separate lab PDF over here. Correct. So this, I will go through this PDF. It is not required right now. So first of all, let me create one EC2 instance. So what you have to do from today, you have to start creating your lab. Whatever the lab we will create today, you also have to create the same lab by yourself. Yes. So what we will do, we will go over here and first of all, we will say EC2 instance. So EC2, which service you want to use? So as we discussed, there are so many services, correct? You can see over here. So out of this all services, which service I want to use? So suppose if you want to use the EC2, so you will type the EC2 over here. Once you will type the EC2, you will get this thing over here. This is nothing but the virtual server in the cloud. Now, if you'll see over here, there are services, features, blogs, documentation, knowledge article, tutorial, events, and marketplace. This all things is related to EC2. If you want to discuss something about the EC2, you can go into the blogs and you can see. Yes, if I will click on blogs over here, you can see, correct? Whatever the latest discussion over there, you will get all the details over here. Yes, so let me go over here and let me select my EC2 service over here. So once you will select your EC2 service over here, you will get this dashboard. This is nothing but the dashboard about your EC2 instance. Now, when you look at the dashboard, you can see everything is zero except my security group. And this security group is the default security group created by Amazon AWS. So you are using the following Amazon EC2 resource in the Asia Pacific Mumbai region. Instance running elastic IP, key pair, replacement group, snapshot, dedicated host instance, load balancer, security groups, volume, and everything. So here you can see easily size, configure, and deploy the Microsoft SQL Server always on the availability groups on Amazon using the AWS launch wizard for SQL. So whatever the latest information related to your EC2s, that will be available over here. Now, if you want to launch the EC2 instance, you can launch from here as well. To get started, launch an Amazon EC2 instance, which is a virtual server in the cloud. And here you can see, correct? Here if you see account attributes supported VPC, default VPC setting. If I will click over here, EBS encryption, then it will allow you to set up the encryption method directly over here. Yes, if you want to provide some kind of security, you can see the setup, set the default encryption status for all the new EBS volume and copies of snapshot created in your account. That means before creating the EC2 instance, if you do some changes over here, that will be applied to your EC2 instance. So here you can see you can apply one zone based on the zone. Suppose if I talk about the Mumbai region, so in Asia Pacific Mumbai region, how many availability zones are there? There are 3 availability zones. You can see, correct? And the encryption is by default enable on all the 3 availability zone. If I'll click over here, default credit specification, correct? When you will create your first EC2 instance, by default, if you are using the T2 type EC2 instance, it comes under the standard. If you will go with the T3, T3A, T4G instance, then the credit specification will be unlimited. If I talk about the EC2 serial console, EC2 serial console access is prevented. Suppose if you want to access your EC2 instance via serial connection, you can just manage it, you can enable it, and you can do it. Console experiments, that means once you will create your EC2 instance, how you will access your EC2 instance, that you have to define over here. So this settings, whatever the settings you will do over here, that will be applied to your EC2 instance. And here you can see save up to 90% on EC2 with the spot instance. These all things we will discuss in detail. Save up to 40% of machine learning interface, and these all things. So here you can see schedule events, no schedule events. Schedule events means if there is something from Amazon AWS side, they will notify over you. They will notify over here. They will say that we are doing some changes in the Asia Pacific Mumbai region for this time duration. So at that time, if you want to deploy something, you have to take care. Migrate a server, use the AWS application migration services to simplify and expedite migration from the physical, virtual, and cloud infrastructure to the AWS. Correct. And some additional information you can see as we discussed. Yes, and this one, before using this Mumbai region, you have to make sure that it is operational and working. So here they have mentioned that region Asia Pacific Mumbai region status, this service is operating normally. There are, as we discussed, there are 3 availability zone, and these are the name of availability zone: AP South 1A, 1B, 1C. And here this is nothing but the zone ID, AP South 1 availability zone 1, AP South 1, availability zone 2, because we have a one zone, we have a one region, and inside the region we have a 3 availability zone. If I will click over here, Amazon AWS Service Health Dashboard. So if you'll see over here, you will get all the ideas, get a personalized view of the Amazon Service Health. Current status, what is the current status of your Mumbai region? So Amazon Web Service publish our most up to the minute information on service availability. Here you can see, correct? In North America, in South America, in Europe, in Africa, in Asia Pacific, in Middle East, we comes under the Asia Pacific. Correct. And here you can see right now we are talking about this region, and here your all the services are operating normally. If there is some kind of activities going on from Amazon side, you will get all the information over here. Most of the time this is a free tier account, so here your all the services will be operated normally over here. Fine. So you can verify and you can check it from here. Then now what we will do, now we will create our first virtual server. So these are all the parameters that we will use while creating the EC2 instance, and at the end you will come to know about this whole thing, so don't worry. Correct. Now right now you are able to see the screen of my laptop. Within some time you will get the screen of another laptop, that will be your virtual server. So what I will do, I will go over here and I will say I want to create one virtual server. So you can see right now you don't have any virtual server over here. So what I will do, I will click on launch an instance. So when you will click on launch an instance, this is the first thing that you will get. Yes, now you can see step number 1 is to choose an Amazon machine image. An Amazon machine image is one kind of template that contains the software configuration like operating system, application server, and applications required to launch your instance. You can select an AMI provided by the AWS or user community or the AWS workplace, or you can select one of your own AMI as well. That means if you want to use your own operating system, you can use your own operating system as well. But for that, you have to take the permission from the Amazon. Now, this is my AMI, the AMI which are available on marketplace. This is the community AMI and free tier only, free tier only. That means if you use this AMI, this AMI, this AMI, it may be possible that you have to pay to Amazon AWS. But here, if you will go with this one, free tier only, then you don't have to pay anything to Amazon AWS. And this entire process is nothing but this, it contains the 7 steps you can see. First of all, you have to choose the AMI, choose the instance type, configure the instance, add the storage, add the text, configure the security groups, and review. Correct. So whatever type of virtual server you have to create, you just have to type that thing over here. Suppose if you are saying that I want to create the Linux based, or if I want to create the Windows based virtual server, then you just have to specify that thing over here, and that's it. Yes. So what we will do now, we will suppose before anything, you can see there are total 45 Amazon machine images. That means ready-made templates are available over here. Correct. So out of 45, you can use any template. Now, if I will say that I want to go with the free tier only, then it will show me all the free tier template. Out of 45, 17 are free tier template. That means whatever the free tier, they will mention over here. Free tier means if you go with this template, you don't have to pay anything to Amazon AWS. For an example, if I will click on my AMI, you don't have any AMI over here. As I told you, if you want to upload your own machine image, you have to ask to Amazon. Yes, and that's why they have mentioned that you don't have created any AMI. You can launch instance using the AMI provided by the AWS or from marketplace. This is nothing but the marketplace. Marketplace means what? Marketplace means you can find and buy the software that runs in the AWS cloud, software from trusted vendors like SAP, Zen, Microsoft, and all things. You will get everything over here. You can see OpenVPN, Splunk, Trade, and if you need firewall, Palo Alto, F5 load balancer, whatever you want, you will get everything over here. You can see related to infrastructure 3189 products, DevOps 2683 products, IoT 123 products, and so many products are available based on the categories. If I will go with the community AMI, community means as we discussed about the Linux, CentOS, Debian, Fedora, whatever the operating system you want it, you can select from here. Yes, so here you can see what we will do. We will first create our EC2 instance. And let's say I want to use the 2016 Microsoft server. So when I will say 2016, they will give me the Microsoft Windows Server 2016 base. This is nothing but the AMI ID. We will use this AMI ID, and at that time, I will ask you that how or from where we will come to know about any Amazon machine image AMI ID. So you can see that they have mentioned that Microsoft Windows Server 2016 Data Center Edition. Root device type is nothing but the EBS, Elastic Block Storage. Virtualization type is hypervisor, and EN enable is yes. Here you can see these all. When I say 2016, the two AMI are free, and that's why they have mentioned the free tier eligible. If I scroll it down, you can see these all are paid. That means if you go with this one, then I have to pay. Yes, so right now let me say I want to choose the Microsoft Windows AMI. So once you will choose this one, you will get this window. This window says that choose an instance type. Amazon EC2 provides the wide selection of instance types optimized to fit the different use cases. Instances are virtual server that can run the applications. They have varying combination of CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity, and give you the flexibility to choose the approximate mix of resources for your application. For an example, you can see family, type, virtual CPUs, memory, instant storage, EBS optimized network performance, and IPv6 support. So here you can see T2. This is nothing but the T2 type is nothing but the free tier eligible. If you'll go with the free tier, that means you will get one CPU, 1 GB memory, EBS only. The network performance will be low to moderate, and IPv6 support is nothing but the yes. If you want to create the virtual server with T2.micro instance type family, then your network performance will be low to moderate. In this instance type, you will get only one CPU and you will get only 1 GB RAM. Yes. So if I will scroll it down here, you can see, suppose right now here I'm saying that in free tier, I will get only one CPU. Suppose if you want 96 CPU, 64 CPU, more than 50 CPU, when you will scroll it down, you can see, yes, here you can see free tier available, but it is not available. And here they mentioned that you will get 36 virtual CPU, 48 virtual CPU, 72 virtual CPU, 96 virtual CPU, 192 GB RAM. If you'll go with the C5.24 extra large, then you will get this configuration: 96, 192 EBS, yes, 24 gigabit network performance speed. Yes, all the technical people, can you see this screen? Hello, can you see this screen? Gajanan and everyone.
You can see it. It's visible.
So can you
We are following.
can you believe if I will create any virtual server with a 96 CPU and 192 GB RAM? So can you believe what kind of performance it will provide? Yes, it will provide the excellent performance. Excellent. Yes, you know why? Because this is the paid one. And in this, you will get 96 CPU and 192 GB RAM. In my laptop, I have only 16 GB RAM. Still, my laptop is working very fast. So instead of 16, if I will purchase one virtual server with 192 GB RAM, then definitely it will be more faster. Correct. So, like in our all the upcoming session, we will discuss about this one. Right now, I have to go with the free tier. And as you can see that in the free tier, you will get this thing. Micro instances are eligible for the AWS free tier users for the first 12 months following your AWS sign up date, as we discussed 75 hours per month. Once I will select this one, I have to go configure the instance type. Now this slide is this point number 3 is very important. Let me discuss few points from this one, and rest we will discuss later one. So step number 3 is nothing but the configure instance details. Configure the instance details to suit your requirement. You can launch the multiple instance from the same AMI. Request the spot instance. Now you don't know what is spot instance. To take the advantage of lower pricing, assign an access management role to the instance, and more. Now first of all, how many EC2 instance you want right now? How many EC2 instance you want to create right now? What is the requirement of your EC2 instance? If you say I want to create 100 EC2 instance, it will allow you to create the 100 EC2 instance. It will allow you to create the 100 EC2 instance. Means what? Means here it says that first you will decide that how many EC2 instance you want. If you are saying I want many EC2 instance, you can set up many EC2 instance. For an example, it is like, just a moment. For an example here, like it is like, suppose if you want to purchase one virtual server from the market, then what you will do, as we discussed, you will decide everything. Now suppose if you want to purchase one more virtual server from the market, then you have to purchase, like if you want to purchase 100 virtual server from the market. So if you are purchasing 100 virtual server from the market, that means after purchasing the server, you have to install the operating system and you have to configure all the 100 virtual server. So how much time it will take? If you want to install, or if you want to set up 100 PC, how much time it will take? It will take 1 hour, 2 hour, and this all things, correct? Like you will install the operating system, then you will configure the software, you will install the software and all things. But here in Amazon, if you want to create the 100 virtual server, you just type 100 over here. When you will say 100, it will create the 100 virtual server for you within 5 minutes. Within within 5 minutes, it will create the 100 virtual server for you. What is the auto scaling? We will discuss about the auto scaling, don't worry. Now these are the purchasing option. Which kind of EC2 instance you want to purchase, we will discuss. Network, this part is very, very important. What do you mean by network? Correct, as we discuss about the network and services. So whenever you will create any virtual server, first of all you have to decide the VPC. Correct, we will discuss about the VPC in detail by tomorrow. VPC is nothing but one kind of virtual private cloud. Correct, if I will discuss this all things in detail today, then we cannot perform our lab. So I will show you first, in this session I will just show you that how to create the EC2 instance, and tomorrow we will create one more EC2 instance. Correct, so here you have to choose the network, you have to choose the subnet. Because if I will purchase any EC2 instance, my EC2 instance or server need IP address. Yes, each and every device nowadays need an IP address. Without IP address, it cannot work. If you look at your electronic pen, if you look at your watch, if you look at even nowadays, like in your AC, in your fan, everywhere there is IP address. So from where it will get the IP address? It will get the IP address from this subnet. Correct, so here you can see they mentioned default subnet in any availability zone. You know about the availability zone. If you don't know about the subnet, we will discuss. But here we have to select the subnet to assign the IP address to my EC2 instance. And if you want to connect with the internet, you need a public IP address. So here my EC2 instance need a public IP address as well. Correct, and here they have mentioned the host name type, use the subnet setting IP name, which kind of host name type you want. DNS host name, DNS means it enables the resource based IPv4 address air record, because we are using the IPv4, and DNS request, placement group, and this all things we will discuss in detail, don't worry. So here you can see the capacity reservation, domain zone directory, IAM role, shutdown behavior, stop hibernate behavior, enable termination, monitoring tenancy, credit specification. This all things we will discuss in detail. Right now, what I want to do, I just want to create one EC2 instance with the default resources. So here I am going to create only one EC2 instance with network. Right now we don't have any VPC, so we have to go with the default VPC. Subnet, we don't have any subnet. Right now I have a 3 availability zone. So in this 3 availability zone, each availability zone contain one subnet. So I will use the default subnet over here. You can choose anyone. So I am going to choose the availability zone A. In this availability zone, I have total 4091 IP address. These are the private IP address. Auto assign public IP address. If you have your own public IP address, you can register your own public IP address over here. If you don't have your own public IP address, you can ask Amazon to assign. Auto assign means whatever the public IP address is available from Amazon side, they will give you this public IP address. Correct, so we will discuss in detail about it. Right now I'm not going through any of this section. Correct, tomorrow we will discuss in detail. Right now let me say, from here If you'll say review and launch, directly it will launch the EC2 instance. But let me show you in detail. When you will create your first EC2 instance in the free tier, your instance will be launched with the following storage device settings. You can attach the additional EBS volumes and instance store volumes to your instance, or edit the settings of the root volume. You can also attach the additional EBS volume after launching an instance, but not instance store volume. Here, whenever you will launch your first EC2 instance, the volume type is root volume, means here it is talking about the C drive. This is the path, this is the snapshot. What is the snapshot? Snapshot is nothing but one kind of backup image. We have separate lab for this snapshot, we will discuss, but here let me tell you that whatever the EC2 instance you are creating, that image, that AMI image is created based on the snapshot. This is nothing but the snapshot ID. When you will create your first EC2 instance, by default your C drive will be this size. Your C drive will be 30 GB. You can add the volume from here if you want to add. If you are saying that I want to add the 100 GB space, you can add it. We have a lab for this one. Which kind of volume type you have to select? General purpose SSD and everything we will discuss tomorrow. By default, it will use the general purpose solid state drive SSD GP2. This is nothing but the input output performance, correct? IOPS. This is nothing but the throughput, like what will be the throughput of this EC2 instance. Delete and termination is enabled. That means whenever you will try to delete this particular EC2 instance, you have to enable this option first. I will show you, don't worry. And if you want to add the encryption in this particular drive, you can add the encryption over here. So here you can see this is nothing but the part of your security, correct? This is the part of your networking, this is part of networking, this is the part of your EBS, and there are so many things. And they have clearly mentioned that free tier eligible customer can get up to 30 GB of EBS general purpose or magnetic storage. What is general purpose, what is magnetic storage, and these all things we will discuss. Right now, what I want to do right now, I just want to select whatever the default features are available. If I will scroll it down, you can see general purpose SSD GP3, provisional IOPS 1, 2, magnetic standard, and this all things. And here you can see shared file system SFS. You currently don't have any file system on this instance. If you want to add any file, you can add it over here. Right now, I'm not doing anything and I'm just creating one EC2 instance. So I will say add the tags. When you will say add the tags, what is this tag? A tag consists of a cache sensitive key value pair. For example, you could define a tag with a key is equal to name and value is equal to web server. A copy of a tag can be applied to a volume instance or both. Can anyone tell me where we will use this tag technically? If I will say this is my first server. If I will say this is my first virtual server, correct? What is the meaning of this tag technically? Where we will use this tag?
This is basically we can use if we want to identify our instances. So suppose I want to create instance for development. So I can create like stage equals to development. And if it is in production, then we can create like stage equals to production. So in those aspects, we can use this tag. And also we can define here like who created it. Like key is the name and the value is the person name, so that we can also identify like who created it. So to identify the instances, we can use tags basically.
Okay, in terms of, let me give you the hint. In terms of coding, how this tag will be helpful. Okay, let me give you 80% hint. Let's say I want to use this tag in Lambda. Okay, let me say I want to use this tag in API. You know API, right? Application Programming Interfaces.
Is it naming convention for the servers?
Of course, it is the naming convention. But my question is that tag, see, whenever you will do the automation, whenever you will work with the SD-WAN, whenever you will work with the Lambda function, whenever you will work with the cloud formation, cloud front, or whenever you will use the API services, application programming interfaces services, at that time we have to use tag. So what this tag says, to help you manage your instance or images and other Amazon EC2 resource, you can assign your own metadata. This tag is nothing but one kind of metadata. Let me tell you that this tag is nothing but one kind of metadata. We will discuss, don't worry, I'm just giving you the introduction. Yes, so tags enable you to categorize your AWS resources in a different ways. For an example, by purpose or by owner, by environment. This is useful when you have many resources of the same type, correct? Then you can quickly identify a specific resource based on the tags. This is the general things about the tags. Technically, you can see this key and value. So the keys and their values are written by many different API calls, application programming interface calls. Denying access to tags or allowing access to any tags, it doesn't automatically deny access to the tags or allow, any kind of, like I can say, allow access to the tags. So here what I am saying that whenever you will use the services like the API, application programming interfaces, or you will go with the Lambda function, correct, or you will go with the cloud formation, at that time you have to use this key and values. A tag is a one kind of label that you assign to the AWS resources. Each tag consists of two things. One is nothing but the key and one is nothing but the value. And let me tell you that value is an optional part. Correct? If you want to define, you can define. But if you are working on Python, or if you are working on any kind of, programming languages with the help of API, at that time you have to use this one. Yes, if you are doing any kind of CLI configuration or any kind of shell scripting, at that time you have to use this tag, correct? So in professional, we are using this tag if you want to trigger something from the Lambda. Don't worry, we will discuss. No worry. So right now I'm just adding you that, I'm just adding the tag over here. So let me say configure security group. Now, what is this security group? Security group is nothing but one kind of firewall. Let me show you over here. Configure the security group. A security group is a set of firewall rules that control the traffic for your instance. To whom I want to give the access? I want to give the access to Sunil, or I want to give the access to Prabodh, or I want to give access to Gajanan, or I want to give access to Susan. To whom I want to give the access? On this page, you can add rules to allow specific traffic to reach your instance. For an example, if you want to set up a web server, or if you want to allow any internet traffic to reach your instance, and rules that allow unrestricted access to the HTTP and HTTPS ports, you can create a new security group or select from an existing one. So here you can see, you just have to, if you have any security group already, you can select from here. If you don't have, you can create the new security group, type name, description, which kind of traffic you want to allow: TCP traffic, UDP traffic, IPv4 traffic, IPv6 traffic, which kind of traffic you want to allow, and it comes under which protocol, what are the port number, what are the source, to whom you want to allow. You want to allow to specific 10.0.0.0 network, or you want to allow all, correct, and description. So here they have mentioned that rules with the source of 0.0.0.0/0 allow all IP address to access your instance. We recommended setting the security groups rules to allow access from known IP address only. Correct. So right now, what I'm saying, I'm just saying that, let's say this is my first security group. Yes, and I will say this is for testing purpose. So right now, let me allow all traffic over here. Let me say all traffic. So I will say all T. You can see you can allow this all traffic: IPv4, IPv6, TCP, and whatever. When I will say all traffic port number will be total 0 to 65. Custom, if I will say custom means you can customize this. You can say that in my network I have a 10.0.0.0 network, the people who are using this network, you can customize it. If I will say my IP, then it will show me only my IP. Can you see 134.41.17.122? So this is what is my IP. When I will say what is my IP, yes, if I will say what is my IP, it will show me the my IP over here, my public IP address. You can see your public IP address is 134.41.17.122. This one, correct? Or if I will say allow anywhere, any person across the world can use this or access this virtual server. I will show you. Now, when you will say everyone can access to this EC2 instance, you will get some notification. Improve your instance security. Your security group, first security group is open to the world. That means any person can access it. You can review this all things, instance detail before launching, correct? And you can check the storage part also. Yes, you can add that. You can see the text also. So here you can see this is what we have selected. Our AMI instance type is t2.micro. Security group we have created, all traffic we have allowed. You can see the instance detail, number of instance one, this is network subnet. Wherever we say yes, it will show you that thing. And let me say device is Ethernet 0, new network interface, this is the subnet, auto assign the IP address, and these all things, correct? So let me say launch an EC2 instance. When you will say I want to launch an EC2 instance, it will ask you to create one key pair. Your password will be generated based on this key pair. So here you can see key pair consists of the public key that AWS store and private key that you store. Together, they allow you to connect to your instance securely. For Windows AMI, the private key files is required to obtain the password used to log in into your instance. So whenever you will create your first EC2 instance, you have to generate the key. So let me say I want to create the new key pair. Which kind of key pair you want to generate? You want to generate the key pair type based on the RSA. RSA is nothing but one kind of cryptographic algorithm, or you have to go with the ED. So here let me say this is my key pair one. You can type whatever the name you want to type. They have mentioned that you have to download the private key file .pem file before you can continue. So let me say download the key pair. So once you will download this key pair, your key pair will be stored over here. You can see. So what I will do, I will go over and I will put my key pair over here, correct? So this is nothing but my key pair. So whenever we want to browse, we will browse our key pair from there. So I will say launch an instance, correct? So I'm launching the EC2 instance over here. Here you can see that your instance is now launching. The following instance have been initiated. This is your instance ID. If you create the 10 EC2 instance, you will get the 10 ID. Get notified of estimated charges, correct? When you will start using the paid services, it will charge you. How to connect to your EC2 instance? They have clearly mentioned that how you will connect to your EC2 instance. Your EC2 instance are launching, and it may take a few minutes until they are in running state. When they will be ready for you to use, usage hours on your new EC2 instance will start immediately and continue to accurate until you stop or terminate your EC2 instance. Each and every discussion, each and every step they have mentioned over here. Click view instance to monitor your instance status. Once your instance are in the running state, you can connect to them from the instance screen. So let me tell you that when I will say view instance, here it will show me my instance over here. You can type whatever the name you want. Let's say this is my virtual server 1. This is the name. This is your instance ID. This is your instance state. This is your instance type, status check, alarm, availability zone, IPv, public IPv4 address assigned by the Amazon, elastic IP, IPv6, monitoring, security group, first security group, key name is nothing but the key pair 1, and this is nothing but my launch time. So when I will go over here, you will get this thing. Let me say that details, correct? Here you will get the details, and you will get the security, networking, storage, status check, monitoring, tags, and everything. So if I'll go in details, I will get this detail over here. Yes, here you can see. IPv6, host name, whatever the instance type you have used, and these all things we will discuss in detail. Whatever the components you used over here, you will get all the components over here. And as of now, you can see your instance state is nothing but the running state, correct? When you will say see the status check, it is in initializing state. So when I will go over here and I will say refresh, it is still in initialization state. Now, once this EC2 instance is ready, you can connect with this EC2 instance, correct? So it will take 2 to 3 minutes to connect with your EC2 instance. Now, before connecting, if I will go in detail, you can see this is the private IP address. Can anyone tell me from where it took the private IP address?
It is from the VPC.
It is from the VPC subnet. It is from
Subnet,
the
yeah.
VPC subnet, correct? And who assigned this public IP address? This public IP address assigned by the Amazon from their pool. Amazon have a pool of IP address. Out of that all IP address, it assign one public IP address to your EC2 instance. If I will start and stop my EC2 instance, this public IP will be changed. Why? Because this is dynamic IP. This is not the static IP. Correct. So let me check again. So let me say initialization still. Now let's say instance state, you can if I'll click over and if I'll go, you can stop the instance, you can reboot the instance, you can terminate the instance, hibernate, that means in the sleeping mode. If I'll go in action, you can connect, view details, manage instance setting. You can change the instance type, change the nitro enclaves, change the termination protection, and these all things. If I'll say networking, you can attach the network interface, detach the network interface, change the source and destination, check security, modify the IAM role, get Windows password, image and template, create the image, create template from the instance, launch more like this, monitor and troubleshoot. If you are facing any issue, you can monitor and troubleshoot your instance from here. So let me say connect. When you will click on connect, you will get three options. First option is nothing but the session manager. You have to install the session SSM agent if you have, otherwise you can go with the RDP client and EC2 serial console. This account is not authorized to use the EC2 serial console, as I told you earlier before starting the lab. Session manager means what? SSM is an agent is not installed on this instance. You can install the agent on both Windows and Linux machine and you can connect it from here. Right now we have this option. So if you want to connect your EC2 instance, this is the default username. Username is nothing but the administrator. So let me say save this one over here. When I will say password, so if you want a password, you have to browse your key pair, the key pair which we have stored over here. So I will go in my desktop, this is my key pair, so I will browse my key pair. Once you will browse your key pair, this is the consent, content inside your key pair, and what it will do, it will decrypt this content and it will generate one password. So when I will say decrypt it, and this will be the password. Now look at the password and tell me, are you able to remember this password easily?
No,
Will you,
it's complicated.
it is complicated. You cannot remember this password easily. Yes. Why? Because this password is very, very strong password. You can change the password if you want to change the password. We will see that how to change the password. Then you will say download demo desktop file. Once you will say download demo desktop file, and when you will click over here, it will ask you to say connect. Once you will say connect, it will ask you to enter the password which we have copied, the same password, and let me say okay. When you will say okay, it will try to connect with your EC2 instance, certification and everything is installed over here. So once you will successfully connect with your this EC2 instance, it will create one new laptop for you. This is your personal private virtual machine. Now you can use this virtual machine as your laptop, as your desktop, as your virtual server. Yes, as your DSCP server, as your DNS server. Even though if you want to use it as your router, you can use this virtual server as your router. If you want to use this virtual server as Active Directory, you can use this virtual server as Active Directory. It depends on you. Yes, whatever I said, that is very, very important. What I says that if you want to use this virtual server, if you want to use this virtual server as your desktop, you can use as a desktop. If you want to use this virtual server as a Active Directory server, you can use this virtual server as Active Directory server. It's up to you. No one can access this virtual server until and unless you will not allow the access. The people who are from technical field, from routing, switching, security, they know what I am saying. Yes, what I am saying that if you want to use this virtual server as an Active Directory, you can use it. If you want to use as a DSCP server, you can use it. If you want to use as a DNS server, you can use it. If you want to use as your desktop, there are some different, separate desktop services are there, but still, if you want to use it, you can use it. If you want to use it as a laptop, you can use it. If you want to copy and paste the data, from your laptop to this virtual server, you can do. Yes, if you want to add the space, means hard disk, you can add. If you want to add the RAM, you can add. If you want to add some extra hardware, you can add. If you want to play the games, you can play the games. You can store your whole the database over here. Until and unless you will not assign the username and password to any person, that person cannot access this EC2 instance. Yes, everything is available. Internet is also working. Internet is also working over here. Everything is configured by Amazon AWS in backend. Everything is configured by Amazon AWS in backend. Yes, here you can see. Here, if I will go and if I will see, let me open my Internet Explorer. So if you want to, you can see internet is working over here. You can just verify it over here. Or if you want to check that whether your internet is working or not, you can check it from here. Or if you'll go over here and if you'll say, I want to check that whether my internet is working over here or not, you can check it from here. Let me open my command prompt. So once you will open the command prompt and when you will say ping, let me check my internet connectivity. Or the people who are from not technical background, let me say google.com. So when you will say that I want to check whether I'm able to reach to Google or not, you can see you are getting the reply. Correct? As I said that this is your free tier EC2 instance, so it will work slow, but still you can use it. Still you can use it. Yes, so let me say Google. Yes, you can do whatever you want to do over here. You can see internet is working and everything is fine. If you want to do any changes, you can do any changes over here. When I will go and I will say that for an example, if I will go in this server manager, you can start any service from here. You can start your Active Directory service, DSCP service, DNS service, or whatever the service you want to use it. You just have to type that service over here and that's it. Yes, you can see here you will get all the details. Tools, if I'll go into the computer management, this whole task you can perform, correct? In professional, we will perform this whole task. Right now, let me show you one thing. Yes, when I will go into this, local user and groups. So when you will click on users, these are all groups which is by default created. When I will click on user, when you will go into the administrator and when you will say set the password, let me say my password is nothing but the AWS123 and my password is nothing but the AWS123 and I will say okay. The following, okay, that means I have to set the password in a different way. So let me meet the criteria to generate the password and done it. The password has been set. Yes, and done. Now anyone can access to this EC2 server. I will give you the username and password from your side. Yes, anyone know how to access this EC2 instance? Sunil, you can try. Let me give you, this is the IP address. Let me give you the, you know how to connect, right? Just access from remote desktop, correct? And let me say my password is this one 123 and this is the password. Sunil, can you try? You just have to type a remote desktop over here and you just have to click over here. Once you will click, you just have to enter the password. Yes, whatever the password I given you.
Sure, I'll try to connect.
Yes, correct. Prabodh, if you are able to connect with your EC2 instance first time, then you will be trainer and I will be your student. Try one more time. Prabodh. Yes, can you please access Sunil?
Yes, I'm trying. 1 minute. I'm just not able to copy the IP from there.
You will
so I'm
not, you
typing.
will, that's why I changed the password, my dear, because you cannot copy the password and it's difficult for you to write the password. So that's why I changed the password, you can see.
Yes. Okay, I'm just typing.
Do fast, come on.
Yeah, it's loading. I'm almost there. Just trying to connect. Just
You,
configuring remote PC. Yeah, I'm able to
you,
connect.
you are able to connect and I am able to
Yes.
disconnect. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, you can see everyone. Yes, when Sunil connected with my EC2 instance from their end, I lose the connectivity from my side. Can you see? Clearly, I'm getting the message that you have been disconnected because another connection was made to the remote computer. Got it?
Right.
Sunil, got it? Now,
Yes.
there are thousands of questions. Can Sunil only access to this EC2 instance? Can I allow Prabodh to access? Can I allow David to access? Can I allow Happy Chorcha to access? Of course you can, yeah. You can allow this everyone to access your EC2 instance at the same time. I'm using the word what? At the same time. You just have to create one policy and you can allow everyone to access at the same time. But if you want to allow, you have to share your username, password, and your public IP address. That's it. Yes. Now this is simple example. So let me tell you one more thing. Tomorrow also we will create the EC2 instance. Don't worry. When you will create the EC2 instance today, don't forget to terminate it. Tomorrow also I will create it. Don't worry. Tomorrow I will explain you this all things in detail. Tomorrow I will explain you all things, which kind of things this thing. What is VPC? What is routing table? How I can check, run reachability analyzer. What do you mean by this run reachability analyzer? What is the VPC? What is the elastic IP address? And this all things I will tell you. Don't worry. Correct. I will tell you each and everything. Today, I just want to show you one thing, that how to create the EC2 instance. That's it. I have not discussed anything about the EC2 instance, just for your information. Even I have not opened this PDF file, this lab file, correct? Even I have not opened this lab file, correct? The same steps I have mentioned over here, same steps you can see. And now let me tell you that we perform the same step. Yes, you can see in the slide. Yes, launch instance, choose the AMI, choose the instance type, configure this detail. Here I have mentioned, you can see. Yes, volume, tags, security groups, key pair, instance ID, wait, get password, browse file, put file, get the password, click on connect, enter the password, and done. You will get this file. Don't worry. You will get this file. Don't worry. What I did today, I just created one EC2 instance and that's it. Today, when you will create the EC2 instance, don't forget to terminate. If you'll not terminate, it will start counting the hours, number of hours. Correct. So once you will create your EC2 instance, at last you have to terminate it. Once you will terminate, the EC2 instance will be removed from your desktop. Correct. So that in future you can create and you can use all the number of hours and whatever the limitations provided by the Amazon AWS. So today I just said that how to create the EC2 instance and that shit, nothing else. Any doubt? Yes, lab part. So tomorrow, again, we will discuss about the EC2 instance type. Tomorrow, today we have created the Windows-based Windows-based EC2 instance. Tomorrow we will create the Linux-based EC2 instance. We'll perform the lab, and tomorrow we will spend our entire session one EC2 instance each part. Any question from your side? Any question from your side? if you will understood that how to create the EC2 instance and what are the components you require, you will get everything. I hope this lab is your first lab and you enjoyed this lab. Yes. Yes. So thank you so much and we'll meet tomorrow. End of the day number 4. Can I close the session now?
Thank you.
Thank you.